how to take a bold stand in your marketing without alienating people. You know, you need to stand out, but you're terrified that taking a bold stand in your marketing will put people off. So you water your message down to keep the peace, leaving your brand completely invisible and leaving premium clients on the table. So today, we're going to give you the exact step-by-step system to share your strongest perspectives, if I get the word out, safely, confidently, and profitably. So let's dive in.
Let's jump in. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
So welcome back, everybody. And just to remind you that in season three, we are building on previous episodes. So we have been looking at um, your internal struggles in the previous episodes. Today, we're going to look at an exposure and building your authority, um, focusing really on visibility and public judgment and identity.
Mm,
So we all know how that feels.
we do.
Yes, we do. So
Yes.
I know that when we spoke in the episode before, we were talking about increasing your pricing. And I know that's kind of scary for people, especially um, when you have to put yourself out there and be bold about the pricing that you're talking about and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. So that's why this is the next episode. Yeah. So
Yeah. And what could be scarier than, you know, being confident about your pricing?
exactly.
Hmm. Exactly what we're talking about right here.
Yeah. Well, nobody's going to pay me X thousand dollars for this. Yeah, we've
Right. You know,
all been
but
there. Yeah.
being bold, being the face of your company, being the face of your marketing, it's very interesting.
This is my absolute nemesis. I
Ah,
hate it.
yeah.
Absolutely hate it. I can't explain to you how much I detest being in the spotlight. I know that sounds
You've
crazy when
convinced
I'm.
me.
It
But
does sound
Sarah, you
crazy.
are in the spotlight right
I
now. Look at
know.
this. You
Yeah, I know. And
It's interesting because there are a whole bunch of people online. I get these ads all the time, and I've followed them down their rabbit holes, but it's about how to make millions of dollars doing faceless Facebook posts and faceless marketing, and they're making money because so many people are afraid to be the face of their product, their service. But it's
Mhm.
like, well, wait, if you're the solopreneur, why would you want someone else's face to be on it? Why would you want to hide behind? And this is exactly what we're going to talk about because it's disserving to us
Yeah.
when we are not willing to show up and be the face of our products and services. People buy relationships. Unless you're buying a product or whatever, a pen or whatever, you're buying a product. But if you're not buying a product, you're buying a service. And when we buy a service, it's all based on relationships.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm a massive introvert. Like I really don't like talking to lots of people. I find talking to people really tiring. So every week when we record this, I go have a lie down. It's just take myself into a quiet room and, be by myself
Yeah.
for a little while because that's how I have to deal with it. And I
Yeah.
know that about myself. And I know that this whole idea of being the face of your business
Yeah.
is really stressful to a lot of people.
It is,
So I
including me.
Yeah. And I used to do it. I have made
Yeah.
myself do all of the things that people tell me to do, like, oh, go live and be on a video and just have talking points and this,
Yeah.
that, and the other. And I just can't do it. I've done it and I hate it.
Well,
So,
it's funny, yeah, because it's like I'm laughing because like, it's like I remember, I some people know it's like I was a performer. I was a stage magician and marionette puppeteer and so I've been on stage in front of a half a million people. And then I had a chocolate shop in Washington, D.C. that became the jewel of the metropolitan area, and I was on TV and radio, and then I opened up a chocolate themed restaurant, and I was on TV and radio, and it's like, so I was getting all this publicity, and there was like so much of me still holding back, and then, I come to Portland, Maine, and then I create TV series. So now I'm on TV in front of God knows how many people and stuff like that, and now we're on the internet in front of billions of people, that we don't even know, right? And it's like, it's my whole point in saying all that is like, there is this self-consciousness that quietly erodes away our ability to support what we're trying to create, and de- deprives us or debilitates our ability to actually serve the people we want to serve through our products and services, because for some reason, you know, a lot of people, well, not, let me rephrase this. For some reason, the number one fear on the planet is stage fright. It's the fear of speaking in front of people.
Hmm.
And so if I'm a solo business owner and I'm afraid to promote my business, if I'm afraid to be the face of my business, that's the same thing. It's just stage fright.
Hmm.
Not just stage fright, but I mean, from my perspective, the way that I approach this, it's from that perspective. So how do we get around to looking at, myself as a solopreneur with this amazing product or service that's going to help so many people, so that I can feel the confidence where I don't even need the confidence. I can just do it. I can show up for it because I feel it, all throughout my system, right?
Yeah. And this is exactly the position I was in. This is exactly when I was doing my injury business and I was really struggling with this whole idea. So I would push through it and
Mm,
I would feel the
mm,
fear and do it anyway, and all that nonsense about, having a weekly show and all that kind of stuff. I did it, but I still didn't like doing it. And that's the difference. So
mm-hmm,
when that business stopped, I had the opportunity to look at things differently and go, okay, I need to do this differently this time.
mm-hmm.
How am I going to get around this? Right. So I decided to have fun, because there's one thing that you cannot do when you're having fun, and that's feel scared.
Yes,
Right. So
exactly.
I created a shield for myself in putting myself out there, you know, and they are the cartoon characters that I use in my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having fun putting these cartoon characters out into the world because, yes, they are a representation of me. They're different aspects of my personality, but demonstrating how I'm having fun, it connects with people who also find that fun,
Right,
and so I'm connecting with these people in a way that I couldn't possibly do if I couldn't put my personality, I couldn't put my joy into what it is that I'm doing. And that's exactly how this podcast came about, because I don't like doing video by myself anymore. I've done it. And I was like, well, if I'm going to have to do it again, or if I want to do it again, then I'm just not going to do it by myself. I
right.
know I'll find a friend. And we got talking about loads of different stuff. We've always had really great conversations. I was like, I know who I'm going to ask. And so now we have these conversations, and
Yeah,
having a conversation doesn't feel quite as frightening or
right.
scary as having to remember what I'm going to say on a script, or spending. I'm not joking. I've done it where I write bullet points. I'd go completely off on a tangent and have to remember how to get myself back to the point I was trying to make. I've also done it where it's been like a script that I'm just reading,
Yeah,
right? And that's not very engaging, is it? It's not
no,
showing me at my best.
no.
So when you're having conversation, you can have backwards and forwards, and you can have a bit of banter along the way, all that kind of stuff. It makes things
Yeah,
a little bit different. And
yeah.
so I knew that if I was going to get over this, then I had to do it my way. And that really is how
That's
I
great.
started making a bold stand in my marketing, was just finding something that I find joy in.
That's fantastic. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. When we get creative. Yeah, I was talking to one of my clients this morning, and when we have a challenge. He kept using the word challenge, 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 challenge. And it's like, oh, who wants to be confronted with a challenge? And I called him out a little bit. He's like, oh, you want me to call it an opportunity? I'm like, oh, God, that's so cliche. No,
Yeah.
challenges aren't just opportunities. Oh, my God, no, that's horrible. But what if we could approach anything as an opportunity to be curious, to be
Mhm,
playful,
mhm.
to go on an adventure with it, to
Yeah.
explore, to experience,
Yes.
to have fun with it,
Mhm,
right? And because, it's like, oh my God, it's a challenge. But the bottom line of it is like um I get the opportunity to find a solution I didn't know existed.
mhm.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Otherwise I'd know it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing about being a
Yeah,
solo business owner
yeah,
is that, yes, you might
yeah,
have to do marketing and you might have to put yourself out there,
yeah.
but how you get to do that is entirely up to you.
Yes, yeah, you know. And there's
Yeah.
so many ways to do it. We're so blessed right now in today's technological age. And if you don't know the answer, just throw it into Chat GPT or something silly like
Yeah.
that. And how
Yeah.
can I put myself out there without putting myself out there?
Yes.
Good luck
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
You know, um, but doing videos, it's like I see so many people doing videos, and you can tell by the look on their face that it's the last thing they want to be doing, and they wonder why they don't have any engagement.
Yeah.
And so look, if you want to, if you have stage fright, if you really have, if there's somebody who you're watching and you really have stage fright, okay, I do these phobia cures that come out of some of these books and et cetera. So it's like I've had these certification processes. It's like you can get over a phobia, like legitimate phobia of stage fright of being in front of people in less than 20 minutes.
Cool.
It's a real thing. It's a proven thing. Any phobia, spiders, snakes, water, whatever it is. But the thing is like if you just continue to look at it as a problem that you have to overcome, it's always going to be a problem.
Hmm. Yeah.
Stop looking at it as a problem.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I decided to have some fun with it
Yes.
because I just kept seeing it as an obstacle. And every time I came up against the obstacle, I would put it off. You know,
Mm,
if I was supposed to be going live on a Tuesday, at 10 o'clock in the morning or something, then I would put everything off until the very last second
yeah.
and then just hope it was okay, you know? And
Yeah.
I really didn't like the pressure of having to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another definition of procrastination. We wait until we can't wait any longer, and then we find ourselves in a position where we're forced to do something we don't want to do in
Yeah.
the first place.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like this is the beginning half of the making a bold stand is like,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there in the first place.
Yeah.
But when you're not a naturally dominant person, when you don't like being loud or controversial
Yeah.
just for the sake of it,
Yeah.
then making a bold stand can feel weird. It can feel like you're
Yeah.
trying to be somebody you're not. But
Yeah.
really, when you're absolutely super clear about who you are and who what you do and what you do not do,
Yeah. Yeah.
then actually that sometimes is enough of a bold stand because it's quite likely I've found this so many times in the fitness industry especially and increasingly so in the business world too that the conventional wisdom says one thing and your experience gives you a completely different opinion, because you've worked in the industry or you've done the work before, and it's every experience you've had has changed your viewpoint slightly. And so it's like that whole thing, isn't it? You tell 10 people one instruction and they'll interpret it 10 different ways.
Yeah.
So your interpretation of what's happening right now, or conventional wisdom, or something like that, is your bold stand.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you start to look at how do you approach your social media marketing? How do you approach yourself? How do you feel about yourself? What do you identify your feelings are when you realize, okay, I have to do a social media post, or I have to do a video, or I have to do a podcast, or I have to do whatever it is, I have to write a blog. You know, what just notice. We don't have to fix everything. We just have to notice it first.
Hmm.
Because if you don't know what's right, or you don't know what's working or not working until you have the opportunity to really discover what's happening. So getting into this place of awareness, curiosity, discovery,
Hmm.
so I'm asking you, so when those of you who are watching, it's like when you find yourself having to write an article or a social media post, what does it what does it feel like? Where is the resistance? Where's the excitement? And there's no right or wrong or good or bad. We need to learn how to stop judging ourselves, criticizing ourselves, beating ourselves up, convincing ourselves that there's something wrong with us or broken or what. All that's just nonsense. It is
Hmm.
nonsense. But we've been convinced of it for so long we can't see beyond it. But we're giving you that opportunity right here and right
Yes.
now, to
Yeah.
see beyond that. And so when you notice how you feel, you can begin to ask yourself questions about how you feel. Oh, well, why do I feel this way? Where did this come from? Where did I notice this happening the first time? And start to say, what would make this feel better? Like you said, you decided you wanted to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's not everybody's answer, but the whole point is to discover what is the answer that you feel that you need
Yeah.
and begin to explore it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah. And I think I said at the beginning we was going to give a step by step kind of like
Yeah.
process for this. And I think I go back to the process that I always use. I call it the
Mhm.
4 R's of potent productivity. And it's
All right.
basically my oh crap, what now strategy. Things have gone really wrong, or they've got too complicated too quick, and you're just faced with this huge problem.
Yeah.
So the 4 R's are recognize. So you need to recognize the issue and the real issue, not the thing that you think it is.
Right.
Okay. So if you're looking at this as going, oh well, I don't know how to make a bold stand, then recognize your difference of opinion with conventional wisdom for a start. Okay. Then the reality, so that's the second R, reality. What is the reality of the situation? Right? Are you so extreme in your belief that people will get upset about it? Is the belief that you have, or is the opinion that you've come to based on evidence? Have you what experiences have you had that have led you to that point? Right? So you're recognizing that you are different, which is a good thing because different is always good. The reality of the situation is that you have got this opinion through your life's experience, so it's not wrong. The next R is the roadmap. So, how are you going to put yourself out there with this difference of opinion? If you don't like being bold and you don't like being aggressive, then you can quite easily explain your differences. I like the way that I think it was Jim Edwards from Copy and Content. I think his Belief Buster um, piece of
Oh,
software was the one thing
yes.
that got me into it. And it was like, okay, so I used to have the same opinion as you, but I don't believe that now because of this, this, and this. And this is what I believe now, you know? And that to me is a much softer approach. It's a much more friendly, kinder approach to telling somebody that you have a different opinion to them. And you are
Yeah.
respecting their opinion because you used to have that opinion. And you probably did at some point, but something changed along the way to help you see it from a different viewpoint. And now you believe something else. And that really helps walk people through rather than being told they're wrong, because nobody likes being told they're wrong. And so the final R, so we had recognize, we had reality, we had roadmap, now we have reassurance. So, how are you going to find reassurance that what you're doing is helpful for people? You know, how can you find that reassurance? You might find it in the engagement that you get from people that are like, oh, yeah, I'd never thought of that. Or, you know, they're telling you that they're supporting your opinion, you know, or you might get it from people sharing your post, or you might get it from um, other people in your industry. Where are you
Mm-hmm.
going to get it from? But you do need it, because without it, you will start sending yourself down the doubt spiral. You know,
Yeah.
your little voice in your head, Wreck It Rose, she will be like, oh yeah, I told you you weren't good enough, and I told you this wouldn't work, and I told you you needed to be somebody else, and all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
that you don't need to listen to.
Yeah.
So that's my 4 step process of
Yeah.
how to take a bold stand. Really, is just find what is
Yeah.
different about you,
Mm-hmm.
and then claim it and explain it in a nice way. So if you're not the kind of person who will, you know, swear and be like, you must do this, you must do this, because there's lots of us that are not like that,
Yeah.
then, you know, just do it your way.
Yeah. I mean, everybody else's way is taken.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go figure, right? It's like,
Yeah.
we don't need to be so many of us, so many people that I work with, feel like they need to be a chameleon,
Hmm.
and they're so afraid of their own identity,
Yeah.
that they have to be or pretend to be something else.
Bless
Achoo!
you.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
So, we have, and I've been there. I lived a lot of my life being a chameleon, bullied, this, that, and the other thing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I felt like I wasn't good enough or wasn't allowed to be who I was, who I felt like I was. And
Hmm.
so I needed to be all these other people,
Yeah.
and there's a difference between feeling like you need to be a chameleon and modeling somebody else's success.
Yes.
Modeling somebody else's success is brilliant. If I do what they do, I will get what they get. But I can never become who they are. Oh, I want to be like Steve Jobs. I want to be like Richard Branson. I want to be like blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
You know, they're taken.
They are.
I can be me. I can do similar things, but I can guarantee that my results are going to be unique to me. And until I learn how to honor my own uniqueness,
Hmm.
then I will never truly make that quote unquote big splash,
Hmm.
you know, in in the world with my product and service
Yeah.
that I want to. It'll always be muted. It'll always be toned down. It'll always be inauthentic,
Yeah.
you know.
And I think this is one of the places where the doubt tax really costs you hugely in
Oh
your
yeah.
business.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, it costs you every time you don't build consistency. You know,
Right.
this is the area where you're building the foundations for your future self and your future
Mhm.
business. And if you don't do all these things and you don't take that bold stand and you keep putting it off, like I did, and I did it for 8 years. You know,
Mm.
I'm not just talking about every other week or something.
Right.
You know,
Right.
this impacts your future business and your future self, and it pushes what I like to call your golden era further down the road. You know, so that golden era is when you are reaping the benefits from all of your hard
Right.
work and everything's working well and you are living your life that you want to be living,
Hmm.
you know, and you don't have to worry about money or business or anything like that if you don't want to.
Right.
But
Right.
this, the doubt tax really is so big in this area, you
Mm.
know,
It's
and I
huge.
think if you haven't used the calculator yet, you really definitely need to go and use it just to
Yeah.
find out what the real cost is to you and your business right now so that you can start to do something about it. because 90% of fixing something is facing the reality of it. It's actually just going, okay, this is happening. What do I do now?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, that's a huge fear. I think next to stage fright, that's probably the next biggest fear, seeing where we are, recognizing the current situation, having that awareness, because if we don't know what the problem is, we can't solve it. We can't begin to discover how to solve it,
No.
And I was talking to somebody over the weekend, and there's this big situation in their life, but they are unwilling to look at the reality of it because they're afraid the reality of it is going to be worse than what they've imagined. And it doesn't matter whether that's true or false. Usually it's false 99% of the time,
Yeah.
by the way, hint, hint.
Yeah.
But we've convinced ourselves so that we can prevent ourselves from looking, because it's easier to stay in the problem than it is to get out of it.
Yes.
Because we've acclimated to it, just like we cook a frog. We've acclimated to that high temperature, to where we can't jump out of the hot water anymore. That point of thing, then we end up cooked. So until we recognize the situation, we won't be able to get out of it. We won't be able to find a way to get out of it.
Yes.
So I encourage you to use these tools. These tools work. They really work. And so go to the doubt text calculator, take the assessment real quick, find out what's going on, and then start to discover real possibility, real opportunity for yourself.
So
Absolutely.
if you're listening to this, you can go to potentproductivitypodcast.com/taxcalc. And we'll put the link in the description and in the comments, and somewhere around here you will find the link to that calculator, because following the 4 R's, you have recognized that you have this issue. Now you need to face the reality of the cost of that issue, so that you can develop the roadmap to move yourself forward from this issue. So if you never face the reality, you can't develop the roadmap. So you'll just get stuck in it forever. And that means Wreck-It Rose is winning, and we don't like her. So she needs to not win.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Brilliant, 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 brilliant.
Cool. So, Robert, your favorite question. What's your biggest takeaway from today?
Ooh, wow. Yeah. We talked about a lot. I think just like, the idea of being the face of my business, and recognizing that the reason that I'm in business is because of the passion that I have for it. And that if I allow myself to continuously reconnect to that passion for my business, then I can easily and effortlessly be proud of what I've created and share it.
Yeah.
Share it. I don't have to over promote. I can share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, my biggest takeaway really is face the reality, because you can't move forwards unless you do. So,
Right.
and this is not anybody else's roadmap. This is your roadmap, and whatever works for you. So go ahead and do it.
Yes, exactly. And until then, please tell us what's going on. Share with us, put in the comments.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week.
We will. See you. Bye.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Potent Productivity Podcast, where we pull back the curtain and dive into the real emotional journeys behind entrepreneurship. We're your hosts, Sarah
and Robert, and we know that building a business isn't just about crushing your to-do list or chasing overnight success. It's about navigating the ups and downs and unexpected turns that come with following your passion.
We're not here to sell you easy wins or rehearse the same tired success stories you've heard 1,000 times. We're here to talk about the moments when enthusiasm is buried beneath a mountain of tasks, when self-doubt creeps in, and when you're not sure where your road leads next.
So each week, we'll share raw conversations, real lessons, and practical strategies to help you reconnect with your creativity, build resilience, and rediscover what excited you about your business in the first place.
If you're ready for honest talk, community, and actionable inspiration, you're in the right place. Let's get real. Let's reclaim your potent productivity together.